forget anything this time, Olivia?
I want to do it. No, I want to do it. I want to do it. Hello, and welcome to the Human Podcast, where human issues are talked about with purpose. Now, here are your hosts, Wes and Ryan. That was really good. Thank you. When do they start talking?
So I want to read you something.
Okay.
We get these emails and we get stuff, and this is kind of long, so bear with me. I may paraphrase it a little bit.
That's fine.
But, so this is from, we'll call her Tiffany, okay? So Tiffany writes in, "Hey, I wasn't sure the best way to get a hold of you guys, but I figured this might do the trick. I was looking for something new and interesting to listen to in the iTunes world, and your podcast grabbed my attention.
All right.
I'm definitely a new listener. In fact, the first podcast of yours that I listened to was the one on Robin Williams. I think you guys are fantastic, and what a wonderful message to be sending out to the world. But as I kept listening to it, I knew there was something I had to add. I have been struggling with depression and anxiety, and I've been working with self-harm for a very long time. Sometimes it can really get in the way of living a full and prosperous life. I only asked for help twice in my life. The first was when I was a fifth grader and didn't even know what the word mental disorder meant. But my wonderful mom noticed my anxious and neat tendencies, my anxiousness and neatness and my tendencies, and what I was becoming, and thought it might be best for me to see somebody. After a few sessions with a therapist, I wasn't connecting with her at all. The next time I asked for help was in 7th grade. Self-harm had become an everyday thing for me, and nobody knew anything. Some major events had happened recently to me, which I won't mention here, that were definitely life-altering. It was one of the hardest times in my life, and it got harder.
Wow.
I told my boyfriend at the time what was going on, and he thought it would be a great idea to tell the whole school. Everybody made fun of me, called me things like emo, freak, attention whore, spat things at me as I walked down the halls. Needless to say, I lost my boyfriend and many friends, as well as the trust of many teachers. I just didn't know what I had done wrong. I was just trying to ask for help. All I did was ask for help, and I know I needed it. The news eventually ran full circle to my grandmother, who dubbed as my guardian at the time. As I said, some crazy things had happened. She freaked, to put it mildly. She called the cops, sat me down in a chair, and made me explain to her in gruesome detail why, how, and when I had done things. I was sent away to another home, and in less than 3 weeks, and my relationship with my grandmother has never been the same. I continue with self-harm, did everything else that was going on in my mind for quite some time, in silence after that, until recently when I asked to see a therapist.
Good for her.
She goes on, and this is quite long. She goes on and she says, "Thankfully, I have now a supportive family outside of a few family members, and with a little explaining, they are starting to understand enough to know that this is a serious problem, and I wasn't just asking for attention. I've also spent most of my life contemplating. Thank you.
Yeah.
Suicide, but I have never done it.
Good for her.
I would probably tell anyone. I would probably never tell anyone about this if I hadn't gone through it. The world just doesn't understand why people such as me have to suffer in silence for so long. You just don't know who to trust, so it's easier not to trust anyone." She goes on, says she's a huge fan, that her life is turning around, and she's very thankful for our podcast.
Wow.
I'm shaking for 2 reasons. One, that's incredibly powerful.
It is.
And I didn't share all of it. And 2, it's freezing.
It is freezing. I was going to say, you want to go get your
I
jacket?
know, maybe I should get my coat. No, I'll be fine. But we're sitting out in the middle of this waterfall, lake thing, creek. What is this?
That's a waterfall.
Yeah. Well, and then there's a little
creek.
Pool and a creek. So it's all the things that I said.
We're in Hawaii right now.
Yeah.
Can't you tell?
Can't you tell?
No, we're not.
We're not.
It's freezing.
It's freezing.
No,
what a powerful letter.
Oh my gosh! When you read that to me for the first time, I was
We both collapsed mentally. I mean, and physically.
No, absolutely.
I started reading it, and I thought it was just like a fan letter, right? Like I listened to your podcast, and it's great. And then I just kept scrolling, and I hadn't read it before. You know, we were both in the office, and I read it at the same time. And, you know.
Okay, so her boyfriend, what a prick.
To put it mildly, yeah.
You know, I hope somebody pantses you in the middle of the school so that you get, feel it. No, I don't. I actually don't. But here's the thing. What is wrong with people? Why would you do that? If you wanted to break up, break up. But
well, the same thing happened to me. So I relate, the very first time that I ever told a girl about my past, right? About the abuse that I went through, stuff like that. The first thing that happened is that she jumped and told the school, right? A couple of friends who then took it to the next level, and I got teased for 2 or 3 years, for a good time, call West kind of things. So I understand where she's coming from, but it's disheartening that in today's society, we're still dealing with that. I get the kids, right? Kids are going to be kids.
I got the kids.
It's the adult.
Right.
It's the adults in
good
her
job,
life.
Grandma.
Yeah, great job, Grandma. I mean, I'm glad I had a grandma who didn't do that, right?
Well, I got to be honest. I have no concept for this whatsoever. I did not self-harm. I did not have, I battled a couple of times of mild depression in my life. So I don't understand this at all. Like, why would somebody cut themselves? I just don't understand. Having said that, I know one thing I wouldn't do, and I wouldn't make the child relay everything back to me that they're going through. I would listen. I would sit. I don't know. I mean,
and
just
figure out what they want to tell you.
That's right.
Like maybe they're going to tell you some details, and maybe they're not going to tell you others.
You've got to be slow roll on that one.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So if you're out there and you're dealing with something in your family, and you have somebody who's dealing with cutting, just kind of side note on this for a second.
Absolutely. Please.
Please do not make them tell you why, how, where, when. Just listen to them. And
they probably don't even know.
They don't. It's like any other addiction, whether it's pornography, drugs, anything. Right. It's an addictive thing, right? Why do people do drugs? Why do people get so wasted and so drunk out of their minds that they don't know where home is?
Right.
Why? Well, we don't know why, right? I mean, trauma, pain, a little here, a little there, whatever. With cutting, I guess because it's like you physically have to do it to your body, you start thinking like, why would somebody do it? It's irrelevant as to why. I mean, the psychological aspect is that they want to feel alive, right?
Okay.
Like, if I literally don't feel alive, me personally, like if I'm having a bad day or something doesn't feel right, or I kind of feel like, I'll go out, go hiking, go do something, go running, go play soccer, go do something. It's an adrenaline, right?
Yeah.
Just replace that with cutting.
Gotcha.
Or drugs.
I gotcha.
So it's the same kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So just as addictive as it is for us to go hiking and find these crazy places to sit these chairs in the middle of a creek
with thousands of dollars worth of equipment floating in the water.
Yeah, and it's addictive, and it gets our adrenaline going.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the same thing with cutting or any of these other crazy things.
Gotcha.
So that's a simplistic way of looking at it, but it becomes just as addictive.
Okay.
Becomes just as addictive. So this girl, and she's doing very well now. We actually had quite a conversation back and forth over the last day or so, and she's loving it. She listened to our help episode.
Oh, good.
She's starting to learn how to talk to people about her issues.
Yeah.
I mean, things are moving forward, and now she's spreading the word, right? She's spreading the word about what we're doing, what she's going through to reach out to other people. And this is 2014, right? People still feel alone. They still feel like suicide is an option. And, bullying. I mean, it just, this to me, what the boyfriend did, that's bullying.
That's bullying.
Because that's taking a personal, very deep, very personal, very emotional thing and making fun of it. That's extreme bullying, but that's real bullying. That's problem bullying.
Well, and there was that article of the young girl who bravely cut off all of her hair to donate them to Locks of Love or one of those cancer wig-making companies.
Yeah.
And she goes to school the next day and then just gets berated by everybody for having boy hair.
Yeah, and see, for that one...
Which, with all of the LGBT, whatever it is going on out there...
Yeah.
How would that even be allowed in any school these days?
Well, and here's the thing I have with that, is if let's just take you and I, okay? And leave you. Won't forget about leave you. He's hiding behind a bush. You can't see him right now, but he's here.
He's relegated to the bush.
He's here with 3 cameras.
3 of them.
3 cameras this time.
Let's get an applause for leave you.
Yeah. Brought 3 cameras this time. Anyway, so here's my problem with that scenario.
Yeah.
I come into the office with this look, right?
Yeah.
And then the next day, I decide that there's a charity out there that if I dye my hair pink, they're going to get $100, right?
Sure.
So I dye my hair pink.
Okay.
Are you not going to say something about my pink hair?
Of course I'm going to say something about your pink hair.
Okay.
And I'm going to razz you. I'm going to
Thank you.
Absolutely. I am going to make fun of you.
8th graders, 9th graders, you're a girl.
Okay.
You go home one night. You have long, luscious locks, right?
I'm getting in the moment here.
Get in the moment, please.
Okay.
We should have brought a wig.
I got it. Okay, good.
But and then you decide to shave it all off.
Okay.
Donate it, which is awesome. Good on you. Then you go to school the next day.
Yes.
I think your friends, your peers are going to say, "Hey, you don't have any hair. You kind of look like a boy." And I'm not downplaying
Not at
the
all.
emotional.
I actually did this,
but
by the way.
I'm just saying.
Just so you know.
You used to have long, luscious
I had long,
hair.
luscious locks of hair, yes. Used to flow out of the back of my football helmet. And one day, and what happened was everybody was like, oh, he'll never cut it. He'll never cut his hair. And so because people said that to me, I came the next day with my head shaved.
So is it like A.J. Hawk hair or like Troy Polamalu hair?
A.J. Hawk hair, a little longer than that even, but not quite Troy Polamalu. It is curly,
And now you have no hair.
I have no hair.
I'm joining you. But I'm starting from the back to the front. You went from the front to the back.
Well, it's been like this since I was 18. I think it stopped.
Oh, mine's not stuck. Anyway, so
yes.
Do you see my point?
Absolutely. You've got to expect something. And as a parent, right, you've got to be like, hey, just so you know.
This is going to happen.
Right.
This is life. This is people. This is what happens. Here's how you handle it. Rather than, like with this article, and I didn't read the full thing, but it's like school administrators are getting involved.
Oh, they're telling her to suck it up and,
and so
tough it out.
Tough it out, which... Like I said, it's like
a little bit.
A little bit. But why is the school saying that?
Right.
And why is it an article that we're reading?
Right.
I mean, and now it's a statistic, right? Which is my whole thing about statistics is now that she's part of the 33% of youth that are bullied. Is that bullying when we just gave a story, a girl gave us a story of her telling a very deep emotional thing that gets thrown out into height? That's bullying.
That's bullying. What this girl experienced was kids picking on other kids.
Being kids. I mean, I went through like the first, I don't know, till I was like 13 without glasses, right?
Okay.
And then I was 13, I got glasses.
Okay.
I was called Four Eyes.
Right.
It hurt. I didn't like it. I didn't like people calling me Four Eyes, but guess what? That's what kids do.
That's right.
And they did it. I mean, when I was in my 20s, people called me a Four Eye. Now, I had situations where my head was shoved in a locker or I was given swirlies.
See, now that's bullying.
That's bullying.
Right.
So if we take things, this goes back to the episode we did about words, right?
Yes.
If we take things like you had long, luscious locks, you shaved it off, okay? You didn't have glasses, you come with glasses the next school year. We take things like that and we say that's bullying, which, again, I get it. It's not the right thing to do. It's not perfect,
it's horrible.
But it's
mean.
kids.
But it's kids, right. It is,
to some level.
Adults even do the same things.
Yeah, and it doesn't. This isn't a new problem. I mean, freaking, read stuff about Tom Sawyer and Mark Twain. I mean,
I'm doing that right now. I'm reading that to my kids.
Exactly. I mean, he got bullied. This isn't a new
by the
thing.
way, if you haven't read Tom Sawyer in a long time like me, I haven't read it since high school. It is English gymnastics.
It's fun,
to say the least.
It's
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
I'm trying to read and act cool, and I'm like, I don't know how to say this word. And my kids are looking at me like, Dad, what's wrong with you? Anyways,
you're like, this is
quite off topic.
Yeah, quite off topic. But anyway, so it's been going on forever.
It has.
So if we take things like, Four Eyes. Okay.
Yes, Four Eyes.
And we take that that's a statistical bullying thing
which I never understood. Four Eyes.
Well, yeah, it's 1, 2, and then 2 more.
No, they're glasses. How's that any different than sunglasses? I never understood Four Eyes.
Well, I had bifocals.
Oh, okay,
so
now
it got worse.
All right. So you were.
So it's like I was a six-eye freak.
Right. You were the spider. Okay.
I was a spider. But here's the thing.
Continue.
That these issues, these bullying issues,
yes,
are quote unquote they lead to suicide, right?
Right.
And they do.
They have.
They have. It's statistic.
That's right.
The problem is that if we say that being a four-eye quote-unquote freak is the same level as I'm telling you a personal story, and you
yeah.
turn it into it.
Oh, yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
This is our words episode. Absolutely.
This is where all of a sudden, now you have people that say, both sides, right? You have people that say, come on, grow. You have people, Leave just jumped into the creek to get the shot. Go Leave!
Levy's the man!
Yeah, he's bringing it back.
Dove into frigid water.
He may not be able to film our next episode on Thursday due to hypothermia.
We have to sever some toes. Leave you. He's making up for it.
He's making up for it.
All for the shot.
Oh, that's great. Anyway, sorry. Right at a serious moment, too, right?
I mean, what were we even talking about? No, okay, so continue.
So, anyway, if you've got people who are saying, grow up, right?
Right.
Like this story.
Right.
Grow up, you cut your hair, get over it. And we're belittling the people are belittling the bullying and the suicide. At the same time, you've got people over here who are cutting and going through things, asking for help, who are then being bullied and then are being said, well, you're crazy because you're cutting and you're doing all these things. So this comes back to defining what the freak things are.
Is this just animal instinct? I mean, a wounded dog in the field, let's go attack it and kill it. I mean, is this just the kids can sense that there's something deeply wrong, and so now we're going to eliminate it from our... I mean, is this just like rudimentary...
I think we have two things. I think, yes, we have that, right? Okay. We've got the kids will be kids, okay? Right. And that humans will be humans to some degree.
Right.
I mean, we always say it like... people are like dogs to that degree. We can sense when something's not right. We can sense when somebody's not confident, when somebody's this, that.
Yes.
People who prey on victims, that a lot of the time they're seeking out weak individuals. They're not actually going for the strong ones, right? We've gone through that before. But there's also the bullying side of those kids aren't happy, right? They've got something going on.
That's
the
right.
Bullies
Usually,
are
and I tell
bullied.
this to my children. That's right. Bullies are being bullied. That's right.
So you've got all these different things. What I'm looking at is I'm saying... when we call everything bullying, right?
Yes.
When we say that 4 eyes, cutting your hair, that's bullying, I don't think it is.
So
I think that's
you're saying there's a
word.
distinction between picking on and bullying.
Exactly. I think we all get picked on daily.
I picked on you for Ralph.
Yes, you did. I mean, and Ralph is up hanging out in the waterfall. I left. He was chilling up there. You'll see some good photos of him.
Some raccoons have taken him to their home now.
No. He's up there guarding us. Because on the way up here, no joke. We should have recorded this. On the way up here, huge freaking
Oh yeah.
There's this sand.
Like that size, the size of my hand.
Yeah, bigger. This huge claw print. No comment. This huge claw print. It was definitely some kind of mountain lion. Yeah. So I decided we need a guardian, but from behind us. So Ralph's up there.
So Ralph is up there protecting us from the mountain lion. Okay.
And choose not to pick on me right now, okay? Because he's really up there.
I am choosing not to.
There we go. See? So, but that's picking on, right?
Yes.
Bullying.
Making fun,
whatever, teasing, whatever.
Which isn't actually fun.
No, which can actually go too far.
Absolutely.
Sarcasm can go too far, easily. But bullying, I think, needs to be reserved for youth are in a situation that could be immensely damaging, not just for their right now and their moment, but their entire lifetime.
Yes.
Which could teasing lead to suicide? Yes. I mean, I'm never going to say that it couldn't.
But I don't think it starts with teasing.
But I don't... And
teasing's
I also,
just an exacerbator.
Exactly. I think it's like you have a really bad day, right, at work, and then you go home and your wife or your kids or something happens and it's like, oh, and you freak out.
Right.
It's not what your wife or your kids did, right? It's the culmination of the entire day.
My mom told me a story about something like this that happened to her one time. There was a mentally handicapped child, and back in the, I don't know, it was high school, I guess, 70s, she, obviously we're not as PC as we are today, and people really hammered on the mentally handicapped back then. So this kid got picked on over and over and over and over and over. And I told this story, I think, in one of our earlier episodes.
I don't remember it.
Okay. He got picked on over and over and over and over and over again until one day he came to school and threw himself in the furnace at school.
Yeah, I remember that story. I didn't. That's horrific.
She told me the story a few different times in my life. Obviously, I wasn't 6 at the time. Yeah. I was old enough to deal with it, but it stuck with me so much that I stand up for anybody who's getting picked on. Anytime I would get in the middle of fights, I would break it up. I would jump in the middle. I mean, there's this one kid that went to my school who was mentally handicapped, smiling all the time, just a wonderful kid. and he got picked on, and I always stood up for him. I said, hey, come sit with me at lunchtime. I mean, I always stood up for the kid. Years later, 30-something, I'm at a restaurant, and this guy comes over to me, this mentally handicapped guy comes over to me, and says, hey, buddy, how's it going? And I looked at him, and I recognized him. It's the kid from high school.
Oh, that's a beautiful...
And he was telling all the other people at the restaurant, this is my friend. He was patting me on the back. He said, this is my friend. Come meet my friend.
That makes you, warms you, that warms you up right there.
And we need more people like that, to be honest with you, because it was something ingrained in me. It hooked me early on, and I just knew. I said, you know what? People that get picked on, they need somebody to stand up for them.
Right, and I think you're using the right language. To some degree, I would classify that as bullying, right?
Yeah.
Like teasing. I think, again, it's just understanding.
Relentless teasing.
Teasing could go into the bullying statistic. Yes. Getting called four eyes, that's teasing, right?
It's teasing.
If it's extreme and it gets going and all these different things. But if we were to say that every situation that these children are dealing with is bullying, and then we amplify it and we give it attention, in that regard, we're not solving anything. In fact, we are literally handicapping our youth, because instead of just saying, this is life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I have I put up a thing on Facebook the other day about being in control, right?
Yep.
That you're not in control, never will be.
That's
I mean, it's just
control
life
is a myth.
Is life. It's
Absolutely.
myth, exactly. And so many people, I want to be in control of my finances, control of my life, control. Look, you can prepare, you can do things, you can be smart, you can do all that.
At best, you're steering.
Yeah, exactly. But life is going to happen to you, right? I mean, things are going to happen. Camera guys are going to forget cameras. Camera guys are going to jump into the water. I mean, things...
We roll with it.
We roll with it.
That's
Life
right.
happens,
Life happens,
right?
Yes.
So if we're telling kids that... And part of life is being teased and not everybody liking you.
Yes.
And not getting everything you want.
It's okay.
Right? It's okay.
I have a lot of people that like me, but there are people who don't.
I play soccer with you. I know some of the people that don't like you. You know, so the point is that if we're teaching our kid that every action of teasing and not getting along and whatever is bullying, and thus it's a problem, right? Like, oh, you're being bullied? That's not right. Let's get the school administrator involved. Let's get this involved. Let's call the news. Let's do all this. All of a sudden now our children are in this position and place where they are always looking for somebody else to take care of their problems rather than them starting to own their own problems. And then the youth that really need help, maybe they don't want their school administrator to know. They don't want they just want quiet, non-public help.
They probably want mom to just give them a hug.
Give them a hug and love them.
Understand.
And give them the confidence so that they can go to school and they can deal with this teasing and these being picked on.
And in that article with the girl that cut her hair off, later in the article it did say that her mom and her parents, her family, except for grandma, different story. Anyways, her family, they did. They started to tell her, hey, this is just teasing. This is normal. This is what kids do. You did this thing, and it's going to be okay. It's a great. What you did was amazing. It was great.
Yeah,
it's worth it.
Exactly.
She actually got comments from somebody else randomly. I don't know if it was from Facebook or whatever that actually said, "Hey, my mom died of cancer, and she had a wig like this, and it helped tremendously. And what you did was amazing. And these kinds of things helped build her up."
Yeah, and I
she was
love
fine.
that. I love
she
that
was fine
side.
afterwards, right?
Yeah, I love that side of the story.
Yeah.
How did it become a story? I guess is another sense. Right, because it's just another teen that got bullied. Yeah. Well,
doing something, and in this case, doing something amazing.
And so I hope that, and again, and I didn't read the article, so I don't know, but I'm just saying, let's make it right. Let's make it about what they did.
Yes.
Not maybe the bullying side of it, right?
Right.
And so the clickbait is teen gets bullied for curing cancer, right? Whatever.
Right. It goes to a website with all this other crap on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying is that we're constantly, because these are real issues.
Yes.
I mean, we see it every day.
Yes.
I think I've told the story before of a girl who decided she was getting picked on and bullied and all these different things. She was cutting. Her parents were part of the problem as well. And her solution, 14 years old, get pregnant, move out.
Yep.
Didn't care who the guy was. Get pregnant, move out. Why? She gets government subsidized. She can get housing. She can get all these things. She can be on her own. She can get away from it.
Yeah.
She doesn't, because nobody's helping her deal with it, right?
Right.
Nobody's doing, that's a real issue.
Yes.
But if we make bullying, and I think we talked about this a couple episodes ago, if we make every little tiny thing the B word, right? Bullying, then you know what's going to happen is everybody's going to get sick and tired of hearing about bullying.
That's right.
And
Dilute the problem.
And it's going to be the boy who called wolf.
Wow.
It's going to be the same kind of thing.
Wow.
Because people like you and me are going to be like, grow up. It's just, and the kid is going to be like, yeah, but you don't understand. I can't tell you what's really happening. I mean,
that's an excellent point.
I never wanted to tell adults the bullying that I was going through because I was literally terrified that if I told about some of the bullying that happened to me at school, real bullying, that the kids would find out and they would then call me a sissy or whatever else, and it would get worse.
Well, there was that kid in
Right?
San Diego, right? That
Yes.
boy that on Facebook, I don't even know, it was cyberbullying.
Cyberbullying, but it was
story.
extreme.
And he ended up committing suicide.
Yeah, and it was, and again, an extreme situation. But it's like we talked about before, right? If a high school male coach has sexual relations with a 16-year-old cheerleader,
Yes.
we're all kind of like, it's what guys do. Heard about it 1,000 times, whatever, right?
Send him to prison.
Send him to prison. Okay, whatever. Move on.
Send her to therapy. Okay.
He must have got hurt when he was a kid,
Right.
which isn't statistically true
No,
at all.
no.
But anyway, that's the mentality.
Sure.
So what do? Oh, now all of a sudden, girl teachers are having sex with boys.
What was it, like 4 in the last week and a half?
Yeah, and we talked about this in last.
Oh my gosh.
So we're desensitized to the male teachers with girls, right?
Right, but the
so
girl teachers are now-
to boys, we're like, holy crap,
And the
that's
only
insane.
way that came out is because the boys were bragging about getting
Right.
the teacher.
So now take it with bullying. If every little
weird.
thing that is bullying, I mean, literally, I read a report. I was given that talk a few weeks ago, and I was reading reports and getting statistics. One report said that 35% of all children in this country are bullied on a daily basis.
See, and this is the statistic you're talking about. Okay,
Yeah.
so we talked about this before as well. So in Hawaii, it's very, it's my son went to school, kindergarten there, and I did too as well in Hawaii. And I was one of maybe 4 white kids in my whole age class.
Yeah.
He was one in his classroom. He was the only white kid in his classroom. And so, we got picked on. Bad. And I told the story before, I gave him tools to deal with it and how to handle it and what to do. And the ultimately I just told him, I said, listen, these kids, they have something going on in their own life. This is happening to them from their parents, adults, whatever. There is something going on that is causing them to act this way and act out. I said, and you're fighting some cultural stuff, which he didn't understand the word cultural, but I explained that. And I said, so ultimately, after I gave him all the fun options, your job is to just go hang out with the kids that aren't making fun of you.
Yeah, and
it worked.
Exactly. And
For
then
him.
he builds the confidence.
That's right.
So that he can handle the teasing and all this.
Which now he's dealing with now here because he's a kid in school with other kids.
Thank you.
And he has the tools to deal with it.
Right, and that's the point. And as he grows up, he's going to have things happen to him,
Yep.
right? Things aren't going to go like he wants.
That's
Things
right.
aren't going to be perfect. I mean, just think about it in your own life. I mean, how many times are things absolutely perfect for you? Very, very rarely, very rarely. Yeah, an hour, yes. There was about an hour yesterday. I was eating lunch, and it was good
Honeymoon.
food. Yeah, there you
That
go.
was winner, chicken
Wicked
dinner.
There you go. But
even on that, I lost my ring. Did I ever tell you that?
yes, I have heard the lost ring story. But here, the point to this, and I do want to talk about something else today, but the point to this is that we need to, as a society, be very careful about agenda-based stuff, right? We want to help kids that are being bullied.
Yeah.
And I am all about that.
Absolutely.
But
It's huge.
define what the difference between teasing and bullying is, and teach your children the difference between teasing and bullying.
Well,
I'm
and
not
they're different
condemning
tools too, right? So the tools for a kid that's being teased are very easy.
Yeah.
They're simple tools.
Yeah.
The tools for kids that are being bullied
They're much more
completely
difficult.
different.
Yeah. And so you've got to sit down and talk to your children about the difference and educate them on, you don't need to tease.
Right.
We've talked about it on the show. I've been watching I don't sleep at night very well, so I kick on Netflix and I pick a series and I go. And I've been watching Everybody Loves Raymond. We've talked about this, right?
Show.
I love it too, except I don't know if I'm more sensitive because we've been talking about these issues or whatever, but I'm getting really tired of it because of the relationship between the mom and the dad. You know, Raymond's mom and dad.
Yeah.
It's very sarcastic, very rude, very like, I don't like you, I tolerate you.
It's intended to be funny because of that.
Yeah.
I agree, though.
But it's starting to really eat at me personally.
Well,
and
I've
it's
watched
just
the
a
series
personal thing.
1.5 times. So
yeah.
240 episodes plus 120. You know,
yeah.
like
And I think it's funny, and I like it. And I like Raymond because he's kind of just like, his character is just kind of, quote unquote, every guy, how stupid they are, whatever. But the sarcasticness is starting to really kind of irk at me, right?
Yeah.
And I look at it, and that sarcasm's funny.
Sure.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's entertaining. It's all these things. But to a degree, it starts to be very, very destructive, right?
Yeah.
And
and that's why they do episodes where they make up and they talk about how they love each other, and everybody makes fun of them. What are you talking about? You fight all the time, and but we do that because whatever. So
So there's
they
a balance.
have to do that in the episode because it does grate on people.
It does.
Yeah. I don't know why we're talking about that, but continue.
Well, because it just goes back to the difference between teasing and bullying.
Gotcha.
Really sit down, and as human beings, we are sarcastic, I think, at nature. Like, we want to make fun. We want to have fun. We want to laugh. We want to do things. We love comedy, humor. But with your children, just kind of teach them a little bit. Like, hey, look, have fun but don't go too far.
Don't go too far.
You know, and that doesn't mean it's bullying. It just means you tease too far. So this really hits home to me for a lot of reasons, this letter, personally, all that. But the other side to this is suicide.
This is the big one.
Well, it was a week ago today, actually. I came back from my little thing East Coast.
Yep. And
Thursday morning, so the day after, I woke up to a child that was thinking about committing suicide and had to talk to him. And I want people to really understand where youth go emotionally here, because it's very difficult if you've never dealt with suicidal feelings. It's very, very difficult to understand why would somebody want to do that. And I see so many comments, and it's been a while since Robin Williams committed suicide, and nobody's talking about it anymore.
Right.
Really, it's dead. It's dead. Right. Our world moves so quickly that we're just we've
already moved on.
We're moved on.
Sure.
But people that are in that pain haven't.
Right.
And this particular youth hadn't moved on from the pain that they're dealing with. And they felt like the only option was suicide. And I'm going to tell you the number one reason that anybody, youth, adults, anybody, feels like suicide is the only option.
Okay.
It's the A word, alone. They completely and 100% feel alone. They feel numb. They don't feel like God is there. They don't feel like they're there. They don't feel like family's there. They may be operating in the world, and you aren't noticing that they're having these feelings, right? Yeah. They may be going to work. They may be going to school. They may be doing things that are completely normal, and then the next day they're gone.
Wow.
And it's the A word. They feel completely alone. They feel like they have absolutely nobody that understands who they are. And I didn't read all of this letter, but it's exactly how she felt. It's exactly what she said. I felt alone. Yep. Nobody understood me. And then when she did go out for help, our human nature is to say, why? Why would you cut yourself? Why would you do these things? Tell me all about it. What's going on?
Yeah. Well, and that you want to fix it, right? So I got to know all the facts so that I can fix it, right? And the world is fixing.
Right.
You know, from relationship, any kind of relationship coaching or whatever you've ever heard of in your entire life, guys, the number one rule. So here's another tip. Don't try to fix it. Just listen, right? That's like...
And that's the same thing here.
It's the same thing.
Same exact thing. And so many people want to know why. Why do people? Why?
Yeah.
Look, there's a gazillion whys. They were raped. They were hurt. They were left. They were abandoned. They were neglected. I mean, the list could go on and on and on and on and on. It could be a combination of many things.
Or they're on depression medication.
Or they're on depression medications that are screwing up their brains. Or they're eating the food that we're feeding
my
people.
gosh.
We could go on that.
We're gonna go into the food thing right now.
It could be a million different things, right?
Oh man, we got to hammer this food thing.
We will
at some
next
point.
episode.
Okay,
That's our
we'll
episode.
do a food thing next episode.
But there could be a million whys. The whys don't matter. They don't. The situation that matters is there are real people, real human beings that have amazing things to contribute to this world who are suffering from being alone. And I don't care about depression, anxiety, all that stuff. Yes, they're real. Depression is real. But all of those things are labels. The real thing, the real issue here is they feel alone. And when you feel alone, if you want to do an experiment of why or how could somebody commit suicide, no one will do this, but I'll just give you an idea.
I'm really interested to hear the experiment for committing suicide. Okay, continue.
No. To know why.
Okay.
Go into a cave or some crazy place that's completely dark.
Into a cave. Dark cave.
Completely dark.
Okay.
No sense of time.
Closet count?
A closet, yeah. But I mean,
a big walk-in closet.
But nobody can make any sounds outside.
Okay.
Nothing.
All right.
Completely isolate yourself for 24 hours.
Wow.
And just, you can't do anything. You can't check your phone. You can't eat. You can't do anything. You can't go to the bathroom. You cannot leave. In fact, next level, chain yourself up.
You don't even actually have to. I got to be honest with you. I've gone backpacking. I backpack a lot. I've gone by myself once. All the backpacking I've ever done, I've only gone by myself once. And it will only be once, and I'll tell you why. Because when you're out in the wilderness, miles and miles and miles from any other human, and you're out there, you're like, wow, this is beautiful, this is spectacular, this is amazing, and then the sun goes down, you have about 8 hours of darkness alone.
Right.
And you feel like you don't want to be there.
Okay, so take that feeling and do it for a couple of years.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Exactly. You mentally
I could
couldn't.
if I had the tools. Okay, so I could if I had the tools, right?
But you don't have any tools,
but
right?
You don't
because
have
you're
the
in
tools.
darkness,
right,
you're
in
alone,
darkness. Right.
there is nothing there, you don't have your backpack, you don't have water.
Right.
All those analogies, right?
Right.
And that goes emotionally. All of those emotional analogies you don't have. They're completely gone. So, I mean, that's the best way I can describe to somebody who's never been down
amazing.
That dark hole.
I've never thought of it that way. That is really quite amazing.
So to some level, you've experienced it, right?
Absolutely.
So, look, it's a rampant thing. It's not going down. You know, we've talked about seeing the world for how it is and all that.
Yep.
Statistically, suicide is going up. It's not going down. And we are so intelligent, you know? We're the, quote-unquote, the most intelligent time period we've ever been at.
We're more connected than we've ever been, ever, in history.
We're more disconnected to the core human, right? I mean, this is why we come out here. Right. This connects us to core humanity. Some period of time, I don't know when, but some period of time, this wasn't here. An earthquake happened, rocks rolled down, water started flowing, and you have a waterfall, right? And at some period of time, man hiked up here and found it.
Right.
And connected with the earth, connected with themselves, the journey of exploration, all these different things. That's human. That's connecting.
Yeah.
What's not human is artificial intelligence, okay? Right. That's why we call it artificial. Artificial sweetener, artificial intelligence, right? Same crap. So all of the technology, all of the connecting resources dehumanize us. Even though they connect us, they dehumanize us. So it doesn't surprise me that suicide is on a rise. You throw filters in there, right? Mm-hmm. So somebody takes a selfie and it's like, oh, I'm not tan. I'm not tan enough.
I'm not tan, right?
Boom, boom. Yeah. Now I am.
Now I am.
Turn now I look switch. Perfect. And that becomes their reality. And then they start dealing with the real reality, which is the mirror.
Right.
And it doesn't look the same.
Right.
You know, that's
typical anorexia. That's where you look in the mirror and you go, oh my gosh,
that's a form of self-bullying, right?
Absolutely.
And then that becomes a suicide.
Self-bullying is probably equal or more prominent than external bullying.
Of course it is, because we're beating up our society.
We're super hard on ourselves.
Yeah, your hardest critic is yourself, right?
That's right.
That's right. Starting this video podcast, I hate being on camera. Like, I'm like, cameras? Really? Like, ask Jody about taking, like, for her to take a picture with me, like one of those stupid selfies.
Yeah.
We've had our fights. Because I'm like,
I've
we do that
hundreds
last
of
week?
Selfies.
Yeah, I know. But I'm like, didn't we do that last week? And she's like, I know, but we're on a date, and it's so pretty. And I'm like, yeah, but we took a picture last week.
The date photographs.
Yeah, and it's like,
Here we are eating again.
Exactly. That's how I feel. Like, we've done it. But I get it. It is nice, and it is fun to go back and look at them. It's good memories,
absolutely.
and I get it. But I don't like being on camera,
Okay.
right? So I want things to be perfect. I want it to look just right. I want the footage to come out right,
Yes.
So I'm very, very critical of myself.
Okay.
I mean, there's been 2 or 3 episodes where I'm like, Ryan, let's not roll this. Not because I'm looking at me and like, ooh, I'm like, it's not our best stuff,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
When you forgot the camera in our last episode, I'm like, we can't roll this. Like, this sucks.
And I said, let's just make this
just
thing
make
happen.
it happen, right?
And I think it's a fantastic
It's
episode.
a hilarious, fun episode that came out perfect. But we're always our hardest on ourselves.
Yes.
So compound all the stuff we've been talking about the last 30 minutes or whatever, and just think about when you say, I don't understand, or why, or how, or whatever, or that's bullying, that's teasing, that's all these things. All of these emotions are happening to somebody who's 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 years old and doesn't understand what maybe I do at 30 plus years old. You do.
Right.
And heck, I don't understand and have the same tools a 50-year-old has, right? I mean,
well, I got a little bit of wisdom for you here. I think this is wisdom. This is Ryan's proverb. So I was in church.
I'll put a little halo in
well, not that. Yeah, okay. Anyways, or a monk outfit or something.
Monk outfit.
So I was in church the other day, and I was sitting there thinking. I said, you know what? God didn't make anything flawless. There is nothing flawless.
Very
not
true.
one thing.
Very true.
And the thing that we think is most beautiful always has some form of a flaw that makes it beautiful.
I just had an epiphany as you said that. Looking at that rock, and you can't see it obviously because the cameras are pointed this way, but landscaping.
Yes.
We spend, I don't know how much money yearly in this country or in the world on landscaping.
Just watering our lawn?
No, just landscaping, right?
Yeah.
Just you build a house and you landscape. I'd say the average good landscape job's $20,000,
Sure.
right? But you have cities that invest millions of dollars in green space, right?
Yes.
What do we always try to emulate?
Nature.
Right. That rock would be like someone would pay $30,000 for that rock. It's covered in, fern. It's gorgeous. It's been chiseled.
Right.
It's gone through something. Obviously, it's been beaten and scarred. So my epiphany is landscaping. We spend billions of dollars in this world landscaping our environments to look like nature, which nature, built by God, built by science, whatever your belief is,
right,
is not perfect.
It's not perfect. And as a matter of fact, if you have a flawless diamond, it's a cubit zirconia. It's fake.
It's fake. So
that's right.
All of these things we spend billions of dollars on.
Yes.
Yet when it comes to us as human beings, we spend billions of dollars in the exact opposite way.
That's right.
Of trying to make ourselves perfect.
Right.
Which is never ever going to happen.
And look, you could, tighten the skin.
No, there's
and
a girl. There's a girl that's trying to be the Barbie doll, right?
Okay, that's right.
And she's not eating, and she's doing all these things,
that's right.
and she's had all this stuff. She does not look perfect.
No, and she doesn't look like Barbie either. To be honest with you.
She doesn't look good.
Because we're human. Because we live in this world, and it is impossible. Even if you were to achieve it, it would look so fake and so out of place that it would be a flaw in itself.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Yes.
And so, I mean, that was, as you said that, like I said, it was just...
I told you it was proverb.
It is. There you go. But and so when it comes to our youth and building their confidence...
Yeah.
That's where bullying, and that's where things are going to start making a shift, right?
Yes.
If we call everything bullying, if we call everything anxiety, if we call everything depression, if we call everything these words, then the things that really are become diluted.
Wow.
And that becomes a problem because people that are really hurting and really do need help now all of a sudden don't want to. I mean,
or they got to wait in line.
Thank you.
Right? I mean, if you got 100 kids in line at the school counselor trying to get help, and 95 of them just need simple parenting tools to help them, deal with being picked on.
And then the ones that really need help
and the back of the line
are 95. And by the time you get to 95, as a human being, school counselor, you're at the just deal with it.
Right.
Like, come on. I mean,
you're tired. You're like,
tired.
Look, just suck it up, kid. Get back out there.
Yeah,
right?
get back to school. Get into class.
And maybe you miss the fact that this person is crying out for help, and they're going to come back to the school and shoot everybody.
Thank you. I mean, it's full circle, right? This becomes full circle. And the ultimate things happen, which look, I think I've said this before on the show, but there's only one mistake, really, that you can't come back from. There's only one.
Yeah.
And I get it. People are going to argue with me and say that child abusers and stuff, but look, there's only one mistake you can't come back from.
You can come back from quite a bit of stuff.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the one mistake you can't come back from is taking your own life.
That's right.
It's over. And
That's right.
I'm not going to go into the religious side of it. That's not important to me. What I'm talking about is your time here on Earth. It's over. It's done. You can't commit suicide and then look at your body and go, oh crap, I want to go back.
Yeah. I changed my mind.
Yeah. There's no reverse. There's no undo. There's no filter that changes it. So if you're struggling with anything, there is an alternative. There is a new direction. Look, I firmly believe, and I know I'm going to get crap for this, I firmly believe that any child molester, any Ted Bundy, anybody who's done horrific human crimes, Hitler, right? Anybody like that could literally turn around and change their lives. I believe they could.
That's amazing.
I do. I believe that.
Think I do believe it's possible.
And I know it's hard
unlikely.
to comprehend. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And I know it's hard to comprehend because people, don't want to think that way. Like all the horrific things they've done, they could never, whatever. And look, I'm not saying I'd ever forgive Ted Bundy or Hitler. I'm just saying
they got to clean up their mess. So,
they could turn it around. I firmly believe that. But so what I'm saying is, if you've done something, if you feel that there's something there, don't let shame, don't let pain, don't let grief, don't let the fear take you into that dark cave.
I had
a
friend. I'm gonna go with this. I had a friend that he confided in me that he molested a boy. He was one of the very rare that was molested, and then
the 1%.
The 1%. It's very extremely rare. Just so anybody knows, he was molested, and then he didn't do anything crazy, but it was, and the boy probably, I don't know, he probably doesn't even remember it, to be honest with you, but he was thinking that way, and he came to me for help. He came to me for help. And
that's a big load for you to handle.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And I just told him, I said, listen, what you did, maybe you have to clean that up. I said, but really what it comes to now, and this was 12 years ago when this happened. I said, what it comes to now is, who do you want to be moving forward? And go get professional help. If there's medication you need to take the medication, which I am not a proponent of medication, but in certain situations, maybe it's necessary.
Yeah, it could be, for sure.
Yeah. So, and I just said, listen, I'll be there for you. I'll help you. We'll talk through it. We'll walk through it. Anything you need to talk about. And he started telling me about all the stuff that happened to him in his life, and he started unloading all these things. And our friendship over the last 12 years, it's been solid. And I believe that ended up getting resolved because he was able to talk it out without me shaming him, without me, whatever else. And it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't like a major. I don't know how to say this without getting people offended. It's like the episode we talked about with the Seventh Heaven guy, right?
Yeah.
So he just exposed himself to a girl. It was something like that, where it wasn't what you would. It's not a sexual rape. I mean, it wasn't a very heavy thing. So, but having said that, I believe that he was able to turn it around for himself
and become an asset to society.
That's right.
Be able to do things. And look, you got to suffer the consequences sometimes.
You got to clean up the mess.
You got to pay the piper, right? And you got to clean up the mess.
Yep.
And that's not what it's about. It's not about not doing that.
No.
And maybe that means you're in jail for the rest of your life.
Right.
I don't know. But that doesn't mean that while you're in jail, you can't do something, right?
Absolutely.
That you can't make a difference. You can't change a life. You can't become something, right?
That's right. Well, there's guys that are going to get out of prison. Maybe you're in there forever. And there's guys that are going to get out, and you can help them. Look, this is what you needed to do. I didn't get this opportunity.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. There's always the ability as human beings to turn it around.
Right.
And to realize that whatever the situation is not what the outcome. There's not a predetermined outcome. We like to say there is statistically.
Right.
Because statistics take care of the human nature of why, right? We can statistically say XYZ.
Right.
If you were molested as a child, then you're statistically going to have this many relationships and this many failed this and this many this and this many that, right?
Yeah.
And that's just not truth.
Right.
That's man-made truth, quote unquote. It's science, but it's not truth, and it evolves all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, in the 50s, we thought that everybody who ever molested or did something to somebody, that child that was molested was going to go on and be a molester, and that is what stuck.
It's statistically not true.
No, but it stuck, and it still is.
Right.
It still is what people think.
Yes.
But statistically, it's 1%.
Yeah.
So,
which is actually an anomaly.
Exactly.
In the statistics world, 1% is considered an
anomaly.
Right.
So there's all these different aspects of this episode and this letter and the emotions and all these things that happen. And I want to tie it all up in a pretty little bow for everybody.
Okay.
And that is that we're all human beings. We all struggle with something. We need to be very careful with labels.
Yeah.
We need to be very careful with classifying things for our own human curiosity factor of understanding. There's teasing, there's bullying, there's suicide, there's suicide attempts, there's suicide.
Right.
There's molesting a child, and there's raping a child. They're completely different things. And we have got to, as a society, in order to help these children, help adults, help anybody, we've got to stop wanting to classify everything.
Yeah.
And we've got to realize as adults how to teach children, because nobody else is going to do it but you that is watching this video. So you've got to take it on, or listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
You've got to take it on yourself to do it.
Yeah.
And you've got to educate the difference. You're reading Mark Twain stuff, right? And it's old English.
It's crazy.
It's old words that were used on a daily basis. We don't use anymore.
And words that we don't use anymore because they're not PC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they meant something.
That's right.
And it defined something
That's
in a very non-PC way, and we grow and we mature from that. But what I'm saying is that words are incredibly powerful.
Yep.
Labels are incredibly powerful,
dangerous. Yeah.
And we're labeling too many things in this world just so we can have a statistic, just so we can understand, just so we can comprehend, and then on a very positive and negative thing at the same time, so that we can have an agenda.
Wow. Well, I'm watching Leave pan for gold over here. He's literally knees deep in the creek, hand down in the sand, the silt, looking for gold. I think
we need to get more camera batteries so that he can walk around and do.
I think he found something, but he goes, your payment, dig for gold. That's what you're getting paid.
That's what you're getting paid.
That's. Anyways, the reason why I bring that up is because it made me think of this is what we need to do. My action step is this: pan for gold in people's lives. Look for the gold.
Love it.
You're standing in a river, knee deep. You're digging in. It's cold. It's dirty. It's messy. But dig the gold out of them. This girl that wrote to us, she is a blessing. She's got gold in her life, and if we can call the gold out of her life, it will eliminate half of the stuff that people want to talk through and deal with.
And she's going to have a currency, right?
And she'll have something that she can then share with
the world.
Absolutely.
And change the world.
Absolutely. So that's my action step.
Man, see, just being out here.
I got 2 in a row.
You got 2 in a row, but just being out here is like, you know what I mean? It's inspiring people.
It is.
And that's why we're doing it.
That's why we're doing it.
Look,
Ralph's action step, I'm going to do it for Ralph, is get out in nature and go experience nature.
Go experience it. And my action step is to, and I kind of said it, but I'll just refine
go ahead,
is labels, right?
Yeah.
Look at labels in your life. Start reading labels.
Read them. Peel them off. Yeah.
Understand what's happening, and be careful of what you're labeling, right? Be careful of how you're allowing your children to be labeled or not be labeled, how you're allowing your culture, your society, your neighborhood, whatever, to be labeled. So really pay attention to labels.
I love it.
And, maybe not use as many of them. So
it's great.
Yeah. So for those of you that are listening on the podcast, we are using our fancy dancy mics,
Yes.
For those of you that are watching this and wondering why we're holding mics, it's because they help eliminate that noise. Little lapels or a boom mic wouldn't work.
Not so good.
Not so work.
Right.
So, but for those of you that are listening to this on podcast, don't forget, we actually changed some things up.
We did.
Because we are a nonprofit.
Yes.
And that's not an excuse to not have funds, but
we don't have them.
We don't have as much as we'd like, and we want to keep spending money where it counts.
Yes.
And as we decided about this whole vidcast thing, we were under the impression that we could do this fairly like we're doing the podcast. Not so.
No.
Video streaming for an hour is incredibly expensive. So we've been telling you to search in iTunes for vidcast, right?
Yes.
For the human vidcast. You can do that because we're going to have a fancy-dancy video up explaining why we don't have fancy videos up in iTunes. What we need you to do is actually go over to YouTube. Because YouTube, we thought iTunes was the free broadcasting.
Yeah, we thought that was free broadcasting. Yeah, that's not the case.
It's not, and that's fine, and I get it, and I'm not condemning them at all. But we're going to the free broadcasting, which is YouTube.
It's the second most searched search engine on the planet.
On the planet.
Yes.
So search the human vidcast, and hopefully everything will work. You'll find us. Go to our human channel, which is youtube.com/.
You can always find us on our website if you get stuck.
Go to the website. That's the easiest thing, humanproject.com.
Yeah.
But anyway, just so you all know, that's why if you're trying to find these episodes on the podcast and you can't find them in your podcast app,
right?
That's where they are. Website's the easiest thing as I ramble. So anyway, So, I mean, I love it. It's freezing.
My hands are numb.
Yeah. My feet are getting. I don't know how Levy is not.
I have merino wool socks on.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to take Levy to the hospital.
I know he's turning blue.
He's turning blue.
He's got a big knot on his head from earlier too.
Oh, I'm Wes Chapman. Take action.
I'm Ryan Andrews. Be happy.
Ryan's always holding somebody's pants.
Thank you for listening to the Human Podcast. Is there a website? Yes, ahumanproject.com.
To learn more about A Human Project, go to ahumanproject.com.